Hey there, fellow business owner. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Scaling Season podcast. I am your host, Joly Tematio, and today we are diving deep into a topic that's literally on every marketer or every business owner mind. And the topic is, how much should I spend on my Facebook or Instagram ads? What should my budget be? And so I've been running ads now for the past 3 years and a half, and when client comes to us or when I'm working on with client, it's always the same thing. It's always like, okay, how much should I spend to get the best result, and how quickly can we get those results? So I thought I would make a podcast just to answer the question, because I know it's one of the biggest one that's out there. And so there are different frameworks that you want to have in mind, like different frameworks that you want to think about when it comes to deciding how much you want to spend on paid ads. There's no one size fits all answer. Okay, spend this amount and you're going to see result in 2 weeks, because no, there's a lot that goes into deciding what your advertising budget are going to be, right? So, and we are going to go over those. There are literally like 3 pillars that you want to think about it. I like to think of concept in terms of like pillars and steps, because it allows me to really conceptualize what I'm talking about. And so the very first thing that you want to think about when it comes to deciding how much you invest into paid ads is to start by having a clear vision of what your goals are, right? What are your goals behind your advertising strategy? Are you looking to increase your brand awareness? Are you looking to drive more website traffic to build just your targeting campaign down the line? Are you looking to generate leads? Are you looking to make sales, to get calls scheduled? Are you looking to sell a product on your site? Is it a physical product? Is it a digital product? What's the price point, right? So those are the first questions that you want to ask yourself to really understand, okay, what's my goal with my ads? Because I see so many business owners launching ads, but they have a vision of what they want to do, but sometimes it's hard for them to translate their business goal into a campaign goal, because what you picture in your mind being the vision, being the goal that you want your business to achieve, is sometimes very different than how it translates technically when you are running your ads, right? So we've seen people coming to us and say, oh, we've run ads in the past, we spent a lot of money, but we didn't get results. I'm like, okay, amazing, how much did you spend, and what was your campaign objective? And they were like, oh yeah, we're looking to get sales, and we launched an engagement campaign, or we launched a traffic campaign. And I'm like, okay, if you're looking to get sales, that's not really the best type of campaign to run, right? So really understanding what's my goal behind my ads, and does my business goal align with the campaign objective which I've chosen, is key. And that's really where you want to start, right? So now when I think of when I mean defining your business goal, your advertising goal, you really here want to really, because that's really a foundation of your Facebook ad strategy, right? Because each goal that you have in terms of your business goal is going to require a different level of investment to achieve those desired outcome. So if your goal is to increase brand awareness, or to increase your following, or to increase engagement, you might allocate a larger portion of your budget to reaching a wider audience, and you might not be really too much obsessed about tracking the conversion. On the other hand, if you are looking to generate qualified leads, you might want to allocate most of your budget into running a lead form campaign, lead generation campaign, or just or conversion optimization on your page for the lead event. So on really understanding those goals, or as well, if you're looking to make sales, then you want to say, okay, if I'm looking to make sales, I'm going to have to pay a bit more, because for Facebook charges you based on how much the person that you're going after cost, right? Not the cost, but like what's the value of the action that they're going to take on your website. So if you want someone to watch a video, it's going to cost a lot less for Facebook to get someone to watch a video on the platform than it's going to get them to go on your website, fill out a form, and potentially buy your product. That's a whole lot more steps that are going to require the person to get through a level of discomfort that they might not otherwise go through if they just stay on the platform. So of course, someone that's going for a sell should expect to have to spend more than someone that's just going for an engagement, a like, a comment, or a share, or even a follow on the platform. So really I think having the right expectation is the biggest thing that the real business owner when it comes to running ads, because start running ad, maybe they hear in front of them saying, oh yeah, we've run ad in the past, we got amazing result, and they really don't get into, okay, what did you do, how much did you spend, how long did it take? They're like, oh yeah, I have this run ad and they got amazing result, I'm also going to do it, without having proper context. And they go in with the wrong expectation, which lead them to be, after 1 week or 2 weeks, they're like, oh, the ads are not working, I'm just going to turn them off and never run ad again, right? And that's a big mistake, because you want to go back and assess, okay, was my budget aligned with my goals? Because the bigger your goal in terms of from a conversion standpoint, the more budget you can need to spend to make it happen. That's the first thing. The second that you want to think about, the second lens through which you want to answer this question, is actually understanding what's the lifetime value of a customer. Now, most business owners think of a customer just, okay, how much have they bought when they were on my site? But I really invite you to think of to have like a broader long-term view of how much a customer is actually worth to you, right? Because that's going to have a huge impact on your budget. Now, your LTV, which is customer lifetime value, literally represents the total revenue that you can expect to generate from a single customer over your entire relationship over the entire relationship with your business. So if from the one in which someone becomes a client of yours, how much are they going to buy down the line? And that's actually what gives you a customer lifetime value. And this is especially applicable to you if you're someone that's selling, a product, and you have like upsells, downsells, you have back-end offer, you have maybe a mastermind, you have a retreat that you're hosting, you have a whole lot of things that you're doing on the back end. Understanding what your lifetime value is going to be a game changer for you. So, because understanding what the lifetime value is literally going to allow you to understand and to assess what's the maximum amount that you can spend profitably to acquire a new customer. I love how Dan Kennedy said that in business, whoever is willing and ready to spend the most to acquire a customer is ultimately going to win. And the businesses that are spending the most out there, that are staying competitive, even though the market might become a little bit more expensive, even though running ads is getting a bit more expensive, is because they've really understood what a customer was worth to them. And when we work with clients, some of our clients that are selling a $10,000 offer, a $5,000 offer, and we get them a client for 500, and they're like, yes, that's amazing, because even though we got the client for 500, they know that they're still making a 5x, 10x ROI on the ad spend. They're still making a 20x ROI on the ad spend, because if they're selling a product and they say, okay, my customer lifetime value is like 10,000 or it's 5,000, they understand, okay, even if I spend this amount to get that customer through the door, I know I'm going to recoup my money down the line. And that's why sometimes you even get the customer at a loss, because okay, I know I might lose when getting this customer, but I know that once they join my ecosystem, but once they join my vortex, they're going to buy more of my stuff, because I just know how compelling my sales process is. And that's why when we run ads, or when we think of ad strategy, so many business owners focus so much, or most marketers focus so much on the ads themselves. They don't really look at the entire picture. They don't really look at, okay, what's the lifetime value? How do we make sure that we ascend these prospects so that they get to buy more and more down the line? That's really important, because the bigger the LTV is, the more you can afford to spend to get those clients done. The more you have peace of mind and confidence when it comes to scaling your business, because okay, I can spend this much, but I know I'm going to still be able to get my money back, afterwards. And so that's so again, average order value, how many people repeat purchase when they join, when they work with you, what's your customer retention, what's your churn rate. Having all of those metrics is going to allow you really to, and analyzing that data, it's literally going to allow you to get insight into, okay, what's the long-term revenue potential for each customer, and this will really going to allow you to make more informed decision when it comes to your budgeting, and your ads budget. And the third pillar that you want to think about is also like, what's your cost per acquisition and what's your return on ad spend, right? Now, the cost per acquisition is literally the amount that you spend to acquire a customer. How much does it cost you to get a customer? So once you understand what your LTV is, what your customer lifetime value is, you want to set a target. Okay, I'm not going to be willing to acquire a customer for more than X amount. I'm not going to be willing to acquire a customer for more than X, because I know that my LTV is this. So if my CPA is higher than X and my LTV is 2X, that doesn't work for me. The math doesn't work for me. But you need to make a decision from a place of understanding, but from a place of data, not by feeling an emotional, roller coaster or what have you. Need to be clear on your data, because by optimizing your CPA as well, you ensure that your Facebook ads are driving cost-effective results when you run them. You're also able to know when to tweak, when to turn them off without feeling like you made an impulse decision. Like you want to treat your business is actually an entity on itself, so you don't want to make decisions that are driven by fear, by worry, by anxiety. You want to be like, okay, you know what, I know my math. I know that this is not going as I expected. I know this is working really well, so I should put more money into this, or I should stop putting more money into it. Ultimately, your CPA and your LTV are literally the most important measure that you can know, that you should know, because they're literally going to make or break your business. The more aware you are of your LTV and CPA, the better you are going to be able to assess how much you can spend to get a client. And that's why we have clients come to us and they're like, you know what, Joly, we've spent this amount last year, we've spent 10K, 15K last month, let's double that, because we want to get to the next level, because we know that we still are way below, working with you guys, we are still way below what our CPA target is, right? We know we can spend as much as this one amount to get clients based on how much we can hook up on the back end, but we are way below that number. Let's make more money. And ultimately, turning your ad spending to profit is one of the most dependable way and the most predictable way to create wealth. Like if you are looking for a proven path to actually make money and actually have a business that can grow without you feeling like you have to constantly think of what to create, how to come up with new ideas and all the stuff, if you can dive deep and also thinking and adding like it's literally become limitless in terms of what you can create there and how much impact you can have. Because once you know your numbers and the numbers are working for you, you literally can put a cent in the machine and have like 2 cents, 3 cents coming out consistently, which is a beautiful feeling to have, right? And so, and of course your ROI is again something that you want to think of. Okay, what's my return on ad spend? What's my return on ad spend? And we can also talk about budget allocation, right? So budget allocation is literally saying, okay, you know what, now I've understood what my key metrics are. Now let me assess, right, how I should structure my budget depending on what I'm going after, what my goals are, right? If I'm going for sales, if I'm going for lead, if I'm going for brand awareness, where should I put my money into? How should I allocate my budget between my prospecting campaign, my retargeting campaign, my conversion campaign? How should I allocate my campaign against all of those different metrics, right? And so ultimately, there is no one size fit all answer when it comes to how much you want to spend. You're literally going to depend on what your goals are. And testing, and also when you start spending money on Facebook, you also remember something. Testing and scaling strategy are key when it comes to also hitting the sweet spot. And when by scaling and testing strategy, I actually mean understanding how do I experiment, how do I tweak, how do I think of new ad sets, new marketing angle, new creative, new targeting options, new audiences, which are going to allow me to optimize my ad for the better, to allow me to optimize my ad performance. Because during the testing phase, you literally want to allocate your budget into identifying what's working for your audience, what makes them tick, right? And usually in the testing phase, you don't want to spend a lot of money. You want to spend just as enough to get out of the learning phase. Because I see so many business owners coming into the paid ads game and they start with a really small budget, which doesn't even allow them to get out of the learning phase. And so if you don't know what the learning phase is, the phase that Facebook puts your ads in when they are not sure really who your target audience is, who is going to present the best with your ads. So even though you might choose the audiences inside your ads manager, right, inside your ad set section, Facebook is going to be like, you know what, when you launch your ad, they're going to be like, we need to see at least 50 conversion for whichever event you choose to show your ad to more people just like your target audience. Because the data is learning, it's a self-learning, it's an AI machine. The AI is learning based on past results, right? So the more data you feed to the machine, the better it gets, right? Because I have the background in data science, so it's like a machine algorithm model that learn the more data you feed it to, right? So it's like Facebook is like, okay, you know what, I see what you've chosen in terms of your audience and their interest, their age range, where they live and all that good stuff. That's amazing. But for me to show your ad at scale to the right audience, we need you to exit the learning phase, so we actually know who buy your product, we actually know who sign up for your offer. And to get out of the learning phase, you need at least 50 conversion. And so if 50 conversion a week to get out of the learning phase. So if you're getting like 10 conversion a week, you might spend weeks in the learning phase, right? And so the sooner you get out of the learning phase, the quicker your ad spend drop, because when you get out of the learning phase, Facebook is now, it's like, you know what, now I know the target audience is, I know I can now show the ads, so when people just like the target audience. I'm actually making an entire video around the learning phase because it's an entire topic on its own, but that just go to show that when you're in that learning phase thing is usually happen when you are in the learning phase, when you're in the testing phase, when you're testing a new campaign, you're testing a new offer, or you launch your ad for the first time. And so when you're testing, you want to be aware, okay, am I spending enough to get Facebook enough data, enough results, enough output to get out of the learning phase? Because if you're not spending enough, you might spend weeks, months in the learning phase, and it's just going to not only lead you to higher cost of acquisition, but also a slower result. So it's a loss when you stay too long in the learning phase. And so once you found the winning campaign, it's time to scale, right? You get into a scaling season. And now you can literally gradually increase your campaign by 20%, 30%, while monitoring if your campaign hold, right? You want to keep your campaign performance in mind closely, and really, because if you scale too quickly, if you go from $100 a day or $1,000 a day to $3,000 or $5,000, you might actually break the entire learning phase. Your campaign might start running again from scratch. So you literally want to make sure that you are scaling progressively, because if you go too fast, if you go too aggressively, you might get the machine, you might start the learning phase altogether. So 20%, anywhere from 20 to 40% is what I advise when it comes to scaling your ad budget. So now you literally now have, I didn't really want to come in here with one size fits all answer, because of course it really depends. If someone is spending, we have clients that are spending anywhere from 6 figures per month, like $90,000, $150,000 per month on paid ads across Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And we have others that are spending $2,000, $5,000 per month, right? And the strategy across those two clients is going to be widely different, because they have different goals, they have a different budget, but we still see success for those two clients. So it wouldn't be fair for me to come in and say, oh, you should spend $50 a day per ad budget. No, it really depends on those different criteria and how you think about your business. What are your goals, right? And how fast you want to hit those goals. Because remember that ads are literally an accelerator, right? The more you put into the machine, the more you get out of it. And so you need to be able to be like, oh, okay, you know what? I'm going to put this amount or this much, because I know where I'm going. And the bigger your goals are, the more you have to put in the machine, right? If someone is, usually our client comes to us when in a place where they are making like 50K, maybe they've hit 6 figure, like, and they want to replicate that amount consistently. Maybe they hit 6 figure doing a bunch of different things like challenges, cold DMing strangers, maybe one of the video went viral and it led to a lot of attention, and then they were able to convert that attention into client, but they haven't been able to see that consistently happening. And they're like, you know what, Joly, this is amazing, this is fun, but I want to have a more predictable way for making this happen for our business. How do we go about doing that? And so, of course, the budget is one of the things that we always discuss, because that's where we actually start. And depending on where they are, depending on what their goals are, if someone is like, I want to add an extra 60 in my business in the next 90 days, you're like, okay, amazing, let's go, right? Let's start maybe at 10,000, let's start at $15,000 per month in terms of ad budget. If someone is like, you know what, I'm just looking to add an extra $20,000 in my bottom line, I'm like, okay, that's going to be different, right? Because again, when we work with clients, we always aim to get them at least say 5x, 7x ROI on the ad spend. At the lowest is usually 3x, but we always aim to get them at least 5x. And so for us to make that happen, we need to make sure that we're aligned, that we are clear on what those metrics are for them. Like, what's your CPA? What's your CPA target? What's your LTV? Right? What's your goals? What are your advertising goals? That's usually what we work them through. And how soon do you want to achieve those goals? How soon do you want to get there? Because once you know those things, you can then reverse engineer the goal and say, you know what, this is what you should be spending. And so I'm going to make an episode on actually how do you decide when it's time to turn things off, when it's time to put more money into the thing, right? That's another episode on its own. But I would advise, no matter what you do, or which offer you have, start with at least. And so it also depends even on the campaign objective that you're choosing, because if you're going with the video view campaign or with the conversion campaign, it's again going to be a different, it's going to be a different talk, right? It's going to be different, because if you're going for a video view campaign, that's just like a content ad strategy that clients do when it comes to us. it's going to be very different than if you're going for a conversion campaign. So how we usually do when client comes to us, we say, okay, you have a budget, let's get 30% of your budget to your top of audience. If it's an influencer, if it's an industry expert, we say, okay, let's say 30% of your budget and let's allocate that to your top of the funnel, like to build a bigger brand, to get your name out there, to get the right eyeball to see your content at scale, right? To give them the right perspective in terms of what they should think about you when they see your content, so they're actually more prime and ready and excited to do business with you. Let's warm them up first. So we take 30% of the budget, we put that into that content ad strategy, that engagement and audience building strategy, which allows them to gather interest from the right prospects. Because on Facebook you can target people using videos, right? How long they've engaged with your content. And so we have then 70% of the budget that goes into our conversion campaign at first, right? And once you've been running the campaign for a while, we then take 20% out of that budget that now goes into the retargeting campaign. Because usually when they come to us, maybe it's a new product or they haven't really sold it, or we say, okay, let's focus first on conversion, right? Let's have prospecting and conversion, and then after a couple of weeks, let's have 20% that goes into retargeting. And so no matter what you do, I highly advise, if you're running a prospecting campaign where you're just looking to garner interest, engagement, do not spend less than $15 a day. I think that's really the minimum. You can go with 5 if you have like one image, one video, and that's it. But because if you have like 10 images and 2 videos and 5 ad copy and you're spending $5 a day, you are not really getting to see any result. So if you want to start really low, know that it's going to take you a whole lot more time to see any results. So I'll advise you actually start with at least $10-15 a day minimum, bare minimum. If you are going with a prospecting campaign, that's like an engagement campaign that will include traffic, video views, engagement campaign. Those are what we call prospecting, audience building campaign. Now if you are going for a conversion campaign, I advise you start at least anywhere from $30-50 a day. It's actually even what I would advise per campaign, per ad set. So that's per ad set, right? $30-50 a day per ad set minimum, all the way up to however much you can spend. We have kind of that we're spending $500 a day on one ad set. So that's kind of like the ballpark of where you want to find yourself. But I want you, before you decide on how much you're going to spend, get clear on those different metrics. Get clear on what your goals are. Because if you are not clear on those things, you're going to be constantly freaking out and be like, oh, we are spending too much. Oh, we are not seeing any result. Oh, what's happening? And it's going to be just a whole lot of emotion, leaving you feeling frustrated, not knowing what's going to happen, and just feel like I'm going to throw in the towel and give up. So don't do that. Be an informed business owner, an informed marketer, and do the things right? So there you have it. How do you, I hope you have more clarity in terms of how do you go about defining a budget for your Facebook ads. It's really a blend of understanding what your goals are, analyzing your customer lifetime value, your client lifetime value, calculating what's your CPA, your cost per acquisition, and really knowing how to monitor your campaign across the testing phase, the scaling phase, and all that good stuff, right? So remember that it's crucial to adapt your budget to what your goals are, right? If your budget is actually to get there, if your goal is to get there, know that you're going to have to spend accordingly to make it happen. And once your ad launch, of course, you want to be always testing, optimizing campaign, and stay flexible, right? Stay flexible on your budget. So thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, let me know. You can find me on Instagram at Joly Tematio, and you can also find me on YouTube at Joly Tematio if you want to see me live on the video format. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any question that you want answered, drop me a DM on IG. I'm always active on Instagram. And if you have any podcast idea that you want me to cover, also drop me a DM. If you got value from this podcast, make sure to share it in your story. Tag me at Joly Tematio. I will stalk you and probably share it on my feed as well. Thank you so much for listening. I wish you the very best, and I will see you on the next one. Until then, I keep innovating, keep experimenting, keep crushing it, keep growing your business, and keep being legendary. Take care. It's Joly Tematio signing off. Bye bye.